You're very welcome to Confident Women Ireland's YouTube channel with me, Roisin Ni Chleirigh. As they say, there's a book in all of us. I am joined by one of Ireland's leading book publishers, Orla, to chat about her journey as a scientist to a book publisher and reinventing herself. And Orla's also going to discuss the key things that Orla has learned over the years about herself and how she works best, sharing her voice as a publisher and what advice Orla would give other women who want to write and publish a book, or maybe other women who think they would love to write a book, but they don't have the confidence to do it, or think they couldn't do it. Talk to Orla, and she will show us all how to do that. Orla Kelly, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Roisin. That was a lovely introduction. And it really is, I suppose, a journey through my life. And it just shows you it's never too late to reinvent yourself.
No, I've been reinventing myself every year since I was 50, and it's also nice too because Confident Women Ireland is about you really promoting Irish women here locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally, but especially women in our midlife years because, years ago, women in our midlife were the wise women and the elders within our communities. And it's about bringing that wisdom, knowledge, and life experience back to the younger women as well.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you.
So, Ola, tell us. I'm really curious because you were a scientist, and
I,
it's like a real turnaround to book publisher.
yes, it was. And, I suppose I've always had a very technical, analytical, inquiring mind. And, I worked in environmental consultancy probably for about 14 years. So you could find me on a wind farm, climbing up a chimney stack, doing monitoring, contaminated land investigations, all of that. But I was always on the move. I always had an inquiring mind and wanted to figure out what's happening below the surface. And it's so funny, I suppose, when I had my kids then, my son was quite ill when he was young, and I gave up work to take care of him. And suddenly, I suppose, being thrown into motherhood with two young kids, the technical analytical mind doesn't work that well when children just want you to be mum and tell them a
Yeah.
story. So that's where the creative, expressive side of my brain started to kick in more and develop more. Before I had kids, I could not do jigsaw to save my life. I, I couldn't. It was impossible. I was looking at this thing. How do I put these pieces together?
Yeah.
I couldn't absolutely. But then suddenly, when you're with kids, it becomes easier because you step into a different mode, and I suppose I found I enjoyed that mode, and but I suppose when you are looking after a sick child,
Yeah.
you're kept on your toes all the time, and I had a baby as well at the same time, as well as a sick toddler. But I was never one to just sit and do nothing. So I was always teaching myself how to do things. And then I suppose through storytelling, the natural storyteller in me started to come out. But really, my kids, we used to get lots of books from the library. And one day they'd run out of stories to read. So my son, who was probably about 7 or 9, about 9, I'd say, started to write a little story for his sister.
Oh,
And it was bedtime. I said, "Come on, it's time for bed." And he said, "Mom, the story's not finished. Can you finish for us?" And I said, "Of course I will. Just go to bed." And I didn't realize what I was after committing myself to. And then I picked up the piece of paper that he'd written on in pencil, and what unfolded was the most beautiful little story that totally highlights the extent of a child's imagination. And I said to myself, I was actually overwhelmed. I said, "What am I after committing to? I can't step into this type of world. This is pure magic." And his story was about a little butterfly who wasn't happy with the color of his wings, again, self image, and wanted to change the color of his wings by flying to the rainbow and bathing in the rainbow's light and
oh,
color to come back down with new wings. And about a little owl that it met on the way, you know, just, and it was just most amazing story in the making. But I had this weight upon me. How do I add to this beautiful story? But I just sat at the computer and I just stepped into their world without thinking or putting any limitations on my mind. And as my fingers tapped on the keyboards, I found the story started to just develop in my head. But it wasn't just a story, because as a mother, I still wanted to have little life lessons just built in there that my kids wouldn't listen to mom. But
yeah.
if it was true forest animals coming together to make the world a better place, they may listen to these little lessons. And so every night I started to, write a little bit more and a bit more and say, read it out to them as they were going to sleep. And one night my daughter just said to me, Mum, can you print it out for us? And a light bulb moment, I'll do one better than that. I'm going to teach myself how to publish it. Don't know where that came from. I wasn't even thinking about it before that. My story was just a story that my son, it's a beautiful story my son had started. It was only for my kids. But me, in putting that out there, I suddenly went, well, maybe other people might want to read this story if it contains little life lessons that we want all our kids to have, about little taking care of each other, respecting the elders, like the elder animals, the younger ones taking care of the elders passing on the wisdom, where they're cleaning up the forest that had gone really old and there was no life and no color. And, it was about just recapturing the essence of what it really means to live the very best we can be in on all different levels. And so I literally taught myself how to publish that book, but I was terrified because this was not something I'd ever done before. So I told nobody. I got the book on Amazon, I printed it out, gave it to my kids, but I told nobody because I wasn't in a place where I felt I could be judged. Would people think I had notions? Did I think I was the next J.K. Rowling? Who did I think I was? And I just kept this to myself. And it wasn't till my kids, of course, kids aren't going to keep it quiet and told their school friends. And then suddenly I got called in to read it out in school. And, the community started to buy copies of my books from me that I was having to buy on Amazon to give to them. And I learned so much from that, so much about what I wouldn't do now, but back then I had no clue. So I suppose now that I've come, I suppose, from a scientist to, creating this magical book for my kids, to teaching myself how to publish it, it was really only when I got awarded at a place in an entrepreneur program because I was a stay-at-home mother. But somebody encouraged me to pursue this because it was a skill. I didn't see it as a skill. And they said people would actually pay for you to help them or to publish their books. I put in my application and I got awarded a 6-month program, and Orla Kelly Publishing was born back in 2014.
Wow. Like, this is the most beautiful story I've ever, and it's not a story, well, it's a story, right? But it's the most beautiful story of a real life experience from a mother,
Yes,
coming from the heart. And I know that's very overused, but coming from the heart, coming from looking after a sick child and discovering what this, and it's a lovely story about what your child, your son was thinking and feeling inside, and he was able to write it, express it, write it down.
yes, yes. I mean, absolutely. And it's funny because books are all about storytelling, even if it's an academic book, a
Yes.
fiction book, a children's story, a book to grow your business. The power of story is what warms people to you, um, and builds connections, breaks barriers, and that's the difference I think between getting not just getting your book out there, but sharing something of your journey,
Yes.
your wisdom, your insights makes all the difference.
And sharing them the nuggets of wisdom where people go, aha, I'm experiencing that right now. My God, like, listen, even listening to you, it's inspiring for many women in Ireland and abroad internationally, because it's overcoming that obstacle and reinventing, overcoming the obstacle, stay at home mom, looking after a sick child and a baby. And, you know, the bedtime story time, what we all talk about, I want to get home and for the working moms, I want to get home and read my children the storybooks before the story. But also it's about overcoming life obstacles as a woman who
Mhm.
has to who gave up her career to look after the family, and what she can do while she's at home looking after their children, and the new opportunities that can arise.
Yeah, and even now, I mean, people say to me, "Do you not miss working in the scientific area?" Part of me does, but the other part of me feels I have 100% of control of my life working for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, because as my kids are growing old, now my son is 19 now and my daughter is 16. But I've always had the flexibility to work around my goals, my objectives, my priorities, how I work best, and build that around also my other commitments to my family. When my mother was elderly and I was taking care of her, all of those things without having to compromise or feel I'm superhuman and just need to
Yes,
juggle.
yes,
No, no way. It's life
yes.
is life can be hard enough without making things more hard for ourselves.
And you were there for your children when they needed you, and the children need that. And when you have a sick child, your child needs you. They need the
Mhm.
mother, and your mother. You were looking after your mother. And I know we spoke on the radio on the business program here in local radio in Kilkenny, but you also you publish an awful lot of business books, don't you, as well as other books.
I do. I do you know what? I think during COVID it really hit me. Like I've probably published close to 200 books in 30 different book categories for all a range of
Wow.
authors from all walks of life and backgrounds. But I find where I one deliver most value um is to the business owner, because I'm a business owner, and I think during COVID people were really hit. And I was extremely busy because everyone who had procrastinated and not getting their books done had the time to get their books done. But the business owner who, like me, wants to grow their business, know there's only so many hours in the day, know there's only so much scalability they can do themselves, maybe find themselves having the same narrative over and over in conversations with prospects, to try to get them to commit, and they're questioning and saying there has to be a better way, there has to be an easier way to bridge the gap between where I am now to where I want to be.
Yeah,
And having a book is the absolute and ultimate resource for that. The amount of feedback I'm even getting from clients, now some of them are private messages I can never share because
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that they're going, I'm so excited, this is what I want to share with you, I'm in talks with, and they name a huge organization, that they're working with on their book, of becoming maybe an authority, or working with them on their panel,
yeah,
delivering international training, going to events, and they're so thrilled. Um, Also, people, you never know who's watching. So people on LinkedIn might message me and go, when I was publishing the book, I heard nothing. But as soon as I published my book, you wouldn't believe the amount of private messages I'm getting from people looking for me to work with them now.
yes.
But it took for them to actually go to that step for it to work.
And one of our ladies who was a regular on the radio with me and on Competent Women YouTube too was Beta Birmingham, the menopause
Yes,
uh, coach. So,
yes.
and so that has really, that book has really, really opened up an awful lot of opportunities for
It
Beta as
has,
well.
yeah. Breeder has been a pleasure to work with. We're actually doing her audio book now, so she'll have her book out as, it's already out in paperback, it's in hardback, it's an ebook, and now we're going for audio. So she has will have 4 editions of her book, because
Wow.
different people like to consume information different ways. Some people want to be on the move and like to listen, so the audiobook would be perfect. For other people who just need an immediate answer now, don't want to be carrying books around them and want to download something to their Kindle device, an ebook is perfect. A lot of people who have ebooks even want the paperback or the hardback.
Yeah.
Hardback is beautiful. It's a bespoke edition. It sits perfectly in the bookshelf, and it's almost like it's a higher perceived value as well. Paperbacks are brilliant as well. So getting your book out there in as many formats as possible is brilliant.
Brilliant. So, what we've talked about, which is a really good, we started from the beginning because you're going to be on a regular on Confident Women Ireland. So we started from the beginning, from, your story of how you became a publisher. You must have learned a lot of things about yourself and how you work well, because a lot of people don't realize when they're going through the journey of transitioning from a scientist to a mother with a sick child, looking after your family, stay at home mom, it's a massive transition. And then writing, and then publishing. What did you learn about yourself and how do you work best? I'm curious. That's really,
And believe me, I'm still very much a work in progress. Because sometimes when you think you're in a good place and something might happen and that can shake you a little bit, that's just being human. But it's learning to respond versus react. I have a mindset ritual every morning. I am on a call from 7 to 7:30 where I read inspirational books. We all read them. It's a mindset group really from 7 to 7:30 every morning, and that really sets you up properly for the day. Um, Again, just reinforcing my why am I doing this? Because I think when you know why you are doing something, it will get you through anything, and you will find an inner resilience and strength that will just keep you going. Um, yes, I have learned a lot about myself. I am very sensitive to the energies of people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and whenever I have never listened to my gut, it hasn't served me well.
Yes.
So that's a
Yes.
big learning point for me. I like to work with people who are like me, who are open, honest, transparent, hold themselves accountable, get the work done, um, take ownership, and are passionate about what they do, deliver high quality results, and have clients to prove for it. So that's, I suppose, my values and how I hold myself. And I suppose those who work best with me are those who share the same values, really.
Yes, and it's always true, that woman's intuition and listening. Like you, I sort of really, I'm a mindset coach and a confidence coach.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
so that's what I do as
yeah,
well, media and PR coach, but mindset coach, confidence coach. And there's one thing I always think, if I am not aligned to my values or my mindset is not aligned, I'm not aligned to, I'm not listening to my intuition. So it's about really listening to my intuition. And then, as you said, when we're not aligned to our intuition, everything goes haywire because we're
yeah,
not listening to ourselves
yes,
and we're not in that
absolutely.
alignment.
Yeah, and where we can just get our lives get hijacked by to-do lists.
Yes.
We, the to-do list will always be there. You just need to turn over the page and continue writing your to-do
Yep.
list.
There's a you know what? The big to-do list when we're gone.
There will be, yeah. So completely. So again, it's learning when to shut the door and walk out and live your life and just say, okay, this is enough, and just move on without keep kind of going over things in your head. Just again, it's about, it's important you have to keep pushing. And I think my clients are great because they also push me, because sometimes they might come up with, can this be done, or is there a better way to do this, or what would you think of this? So it's forcing me to think as well and come up with
Yeah.
maybe novel solutions to problems.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've shared your voice by publishing your book. A lot of women will go, "Oh my God, I want to do that, but I don't know how to do it. I don't even know where to begin." And this is where women will come to you.
Yes.
And, it's like, we need to just sort of floodlight and highlight you because you have helped so many women, and women who had a story and had a voice and had something of value to say. Because an old friend of mine who I met in Saudi Arabia when I was only 11, she had a writing school in Saudi Arabia, and then when I went back and studied media and public relations, she was a lecturer as well, and in Texas. So she left Saudi, went to Texas, and I go, "Oh my God, I'm dyslexic and blah, blah," giving off. And then one day after coming home, giving off, but why did I go back to college? I said, she said, Roisin, when she just said this very quietly, when you have something of value to say, people will listen.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of your work and the work that you do for ordinary women who have something of value to say,
Yes.
something to share. People will listen, people will read, and
Yes.
people will, they will really find that inner strength within themselves and that confidence to
Yeah.
actually I do have a book. I do have something of value to say, share nuggets of wisdom with other people, and in this case, women or business owners, entrepreneurs, startup businesses. So, you know, sharing that voice, how did you start to feel and sort of gain confidence in sharing your voice to your books?
Um, it's funny because like I talk about my, what you call your core story, your why, on my main Orla Kelly publishing website. And you'd be amazed. I have the little story there, and I have a little short little video on how I work, and I'm just talking, and the amount of people that say what you're doing there is powerful. You don't realize it. Just you're being authentic. We can hear your voice. We can hear the tone of voice, the passion in your voice. We love your story. It's just so true. It's so honest. It's so authentic that sometimes people don't even go beyond that page to check out other services. They just reach out to me. And so effectively you are your brand, but it's the person behind the business that somebody wants to work with. Yes, there are other publishers out there who can do equally as good a job, but what's the customer journey going to be like with
Yeah.
maybe a different person? You know, I nurture my clients. They know I am there for them 100%. I have their back. I won't let anything being published unless I know it is their very, very best. Um, I do hold them accountable. I have a great team who now work with me and support me because I have learned to let go of me trying to control and juggle as well, you know?
Yes. That's a big thing, isn't it? Letting go of that control.
Yes,
That's a massive thing for us women, especially, having that control. And it's not it's a control issue or control or trust issue. Sometimes we're just so used to doing everything ourselves.
yes, yeah, because we are good at so many things.
Multitasking.
We are, you know, we are so good at multitasking that you almost in your head think, sure, it's easier for me to do it myself. But look at if you're trying to extract yourself from your business and free up your time, I just have to cut these cords and just
Yeah.
let go.
So, and we were talking about that, too. It's like finding that voice. And many women will be watching this. Yes, I would love to write a book, but I don't have that self-confidence to write a book. What advice would you give them watching this when they know that, maybe they might think they're dyslexic or the English and the grammar, or they don't know how to really start at the very beginning of writing a book? What's
Okay.
your advice apart from, so first thing would be contact Orla Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I have worked with authors who English is not their first language, who are dyslexic, who are suffering from clinical OCD, who suffer from ADD, who suffer from depression and autism. So again, for me, it's all about, you know, helping them accomplish their goals. And no one then who has ever published a book with me has ever said, I regret that experience. It's been a massive milestone in people's lives. And I
Yeah.
think, oh, yes, okay, if you don't have the confidence, you don't know. It's just the fear of the unknown. We all have it, absolutely. But I think when you're working, just like if you need help working with confidence, like your confidence and mindset coach, if you need your book published, I'm a book publisher. I work with people no matter where their journey is, whether they have it's just an idea in their head and they need guidance on how to structure their book so that they then go, oh, brilliant. So this is a blueprint. This is what I need to follow. Then they know what they're working towards instead of going off on a tangent. Or maybe their book is nearly finished, but they don't know how to finish it, or they don't know if it's good enough. Um, or the book is finished, but they don't have the confidence to put out there, and they say, I need you to read it and say, is this good enough? Or if it's not, what we need to do to make it good enough.
Yeah.
So I'll always be honest with them because again, it's my professional reputation as well.
Yes.
I'm not going
Yes.
to put something out there that I know is going to do them more damage their credibility, damage their reputation because it affects my reputation as well.
Mm.
And your reputation, you are only as good as your reputation.
Yes.
Um, I will make sure that it is edited to high standard. I will make sure that the quality, the message is there, the cover is working. There's so many moving parts when it comes to getting published completely, but I've mastered them over the years and have a team behind me who help me, who all have their own core skills. So together collectively, we work with clients. So clients never feel isolated and exposed. They're part of the team. And when you feel understood and that somebody genuinely does care about you and your success, it
Wonderful.
just it makes it so much easier to get past that fear of getting your book published.
It gives, like when you think about having confidence, the difference between confidence and self-confidence. Confidence is about skill,
Yeah.
and it's about being confident to say, I'm confident in constructing a sentence. I'm confident within my writing skills. So,
Yes.
but the self confidence is a different thing. So it's and the more you write and talking to you and engaging with you as a client, client and publisher, you're also giving and empowering the author with self confidence to actually construct the book, write the book, and construct how the the book should be written. And that's the most powerful thing that you can give someone is the self confidence to be confident, to be
Yeah.
competent.
Because as a business professional, you're already very confident and competent in what you do.
Yes,
Otherwise, you wouldn't be in business.
yes,
But when you are publishing a book, it's a totally different
personal.
situation. That it's so there is a fear of the unknown, and you are afraid because you're vulnerable,
Yeah,
and you're putting your work out there, and you're afraid of what if it's not well received? What if I have done something wrong? What if, there's all these what ifs, and these what ifs, try to keep you safe from moving forward. But those what ifs need to be just crossed out because they can all be taken care of. And
yeah.
then the next stage is just let's move forward with this, you know. And again, I mean, I all I know is just I suppose from the testimonials I received, and even from just speaking to clients afterwards, often them sending me photographs when they first opened their book.
Yeah.
And just seeing the joy on someone's face, it's a hugely
Excitement.
powerfully emotional experience.
It's the excitement, and then when people would text me, Roshan, my book is coming out in October. My book's coming out in April. I have another lady who said, Roshan, my book's coming out. For the last 2 years, I've known she's been writing a book over in England, in the UK. My book's coming out, and she's been keeping me up to date of her book
Yes,
throughout the process. And even at that, the excitement, the sense of achievement, and
yeah,
the validated, I'm feeling validated as
yeah.
well that what they have to say brings value.
Yeah, I mean, there's one lady now. We're working on her book is actually ready to be signed off, and she's going to an event at the end of the month where she's speaking, and there's 250 people in the audience, and she's going to have copies of her book there, and she's actually just giving them as what you call a lead magnet to everyone in the audience who wants to approach her and just take a copy of her book, because she knows that that is ultimately going to lead back to business for her, because even if you're only going to pick up a book if you're interested in
Yes,
it,
yes,
and you're not going to bin it. Business cards can get lost, mislaid, damaged, whereas a book has an inherent value.
yes,
So even if you have a book on your bookshelf, you don't mind people borrowing it, but you always want it back. So
yes.
there is a value with books.
And especially when people don't return the book that you loaned them. I loaned a lady a book for confidence about, I would say 15 years ago, and it's still got in my back. Yeah, I lent her the book, she never gave it back. And
Yeah.
it's funny how, like, and I'm not, I like you, I only buy a book if I want to read it.
Yes.
And, and then there's some books then that I buy for other people
Yes.
my favorite ones that I bought, I won't give away anymore, but I keep buying them if they don't. So I would I will buy them the book as the gift, so they don't. There isn't that you didn't return my book issue,
Yes.
because
Yes.
books are very personal.
They are very personal. They absolutely are. But even from I find even some people I'm speaking to, and if we start talking about books and we find there's a common bond between the type of books we read and enjoy and start talking about it, it breaks down a barrier. It's an icebreaker,
Yes,
because then they know, well, that person likes the same type of books as me. They're into the same philosophies and mindsets and have the same values. And again, that shows a lot about the type of person you also want to have to surround yourself with as well.
I just think it's amazing, and I know you've got to go and take a phone call, and then you're getting the train to Dublin. But I really appreciate you coming on because I really enjoyed talking to you on the radio on the business program and the women's show there. But I think now things are going to change. People have so much now in Ireland, and so many women have so many things they want to talk about, and business people and men as well. You know that we just want to share our life experiences, our wisdom, our knowledge, and share that wisdom with of everyone and celebrate. I think it's lovely when we join people who published a book and celebrate them that they've achieved this and they their book. And
Absolutely. And support them by, buying their book, reviewing their
yes,
book, sharing on social media about their book. 100%. Because you never know when it'll come back to you and it'll be your time.
yeah, you know, so definitely. But all that I really really enjoy meeting you face to face, even though it's virtually this time and not on the phone
No
or, or
problem.
or messaging. So thank you so much indeed, and it's been an absolute pleasure, and I've been looking forward to this for years. So
Oh,
thank you so much, and also any of your clients who would like to promote their book, tell them get in touch with me and we can get them on the show.
fantastic.
You
That is
know,
brilliant. Thank you very much, Roisin.
you
That's
it's
lovely.
be supporting other people who've taken that challenge and
Fantastic.
that bravery and courage and to be vulnerable to write that book, and it'll also be supporting you as one of Ireland's leading publishers as well, and a bit of celebrating everything.
Lovely. Thank you so
Uh,
much, Roisin, for having me on today.
Orla Kelly, one of Ireland's leading book publishers, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Competent Women Ireland today.